Okay, class, so this is the first recording, and I'll do one of these on all of the PowerPoint presentations, but the PowerPoints are in your Moodle. My expectation is that you download them, flip through them. These short videos would just be for me to point out some points of emphasis. I won't click on every slide, and I'll probably share more of my experience and the things that I've done than I will sit here and read to you. I don't know about all of you, but I've never really liked for someone to just straight up read to me. But anyway, the nature of management, we will go through some of this because it's introductory, kind of foundational building blocks. What do you do as a manager? Well, yes, you motivate, you coordinate. For me, one of the biggest challenges with guys is they get aggravated, they get frustrated. This truck, everything's going wrong, or this truck is 20 years old, and they call it words that I can't record here on a PowerPoint. You have to drive them, motivate them. It's going to be all right, it's going to be okay, and you're a coach and a leader and a lot of different things, but that last line is very true. Doing more with less, fully engaging employees, making sure you kind of get to know them. One of the challenges for me is you want to get to know your employees, but you really don't want to cross that line into being their friends. That may sound mean, but I've seen people in my life, bosses at other jobs, struggle with that because you buddy with an employee, and then I don't want to say they take advantage of that, but if they're friends with the boss, maybe they milk it a little bit. And when it comes time you have to do a reprimand of an employee that you're buddies with, that's not a good spot for either person. So get to know them, but remember, you are their boss, and maybe having them up to the house to go fishing or something might not be your best idea. Management is the attainment of organizational goals through an effective and efficient manner through planning, organizing, leading, and controlling organizational resources. Planning is key. My employees get to work every morning at 7 and leave at 3:30. I get to work every morning at 6:15. That 45 minutes gives me time to run reports, to look at what we've done yesterday, plan out what we're going to do today, figure out for each individual in that shop what I'm going to have them working on and what I'm going to have them doing. Planning is key. Remember this quote. I really like it. I can't remember who said it, but I know I didn't come up with it. In a managerial supervising role, it's very easy with so many different things coming at you from different angles for you to become solely reactive and to forget to be proactive. It's very important that you plan and that you try to stay ahead of things in a position that tries to keep you from doing that. We'll flip through that one. So what do managers do? Set objectives, organize, motivate, communicate. Communicate is key. That's one of the keys to life. I've always felt like if you communicate and you organize, you've got a whole lot of things figured out that a lot of people struggle with. Tell your employees. Don't tell them you're going to do it this way. Don't be power hungry. Don't be that type of a manager. You want to say, look, take 2 minutes. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And sometimes this is why we're going to do it. And sometimes when there are too many questions, you do have to say, look, this is what it is. It's what we're going to do. But for the most part, if you'll communicate and make people aware of changes and kind of tell them why we're doing this, you'll find people are a lot more receptive to change. Measure. Absolutely. We have metrics at work. We have numbers, goals, and expectations, and technician efficiencies. And as a shop, we are measured by our bosses. Everybody has a boss, and even though I am a boss, I've got bosses too. So you set targets and you do your best to hit them. Appraise performance. Look at how things are going. Use data. Collective data to analyze and really dig down into how you're performing as a shop, and develop people. There is only one thing worse than to train someone and have them leave you, and that is to not train them and have them stay. Organizational performance. There's the some quick definitions. I'm not going to go through all of those. Again, I want you to look through these PowerPoints, download them, look at them. When it comes time for quizzes, they will be most helpful. Let's go on down to here. When skills fail, missteps and unethical behavior have been in the news. During turbulent times, managers must apply their skills. Common management failures: not listening to your customers. That is a huge one. I told a guy one time that he shouldn't spend $3,000 on his Pontiac Grand Am because it wasn't worth about $2,000 anyway. And you talk about an irate individuals. I will never tell anyone else the value of any car they have. It turned out it was his dad's car, and it was not good. So make sure your customers are coming to you with, generally in y'all's industry, it's probably going to be something's not working right. I mean, maybe they want you to do an EGR delete, or maybe they want you to put some running boards on, or what have it, but they're going to tell you what they want. Make sure you listen to them. Don't tell them what you want to do. You communicate with them other things you find, but always address what they wanted fixed or made better or whatever. Misinterpreting signals from a marketplace. Just means you're trying to forecast things and you missed the mark. Not building teams. You've probably all been through exercises of team building in high school, and you really don't fully understand that, I don't think, until you get a job where you're on a bad team or you're on a really good team. If any of you've played sports, that's why I always encourage my kids to get into sports, because you do realize that it's not about just you, it's about everyone. An inability to execute strategies, failure to comprehend and adapt to change. That is a huge one. That we are in an ever-changing world, and you've got to be willing to accept that. We all get complacent and find our way that we like to do things, but sometimes change comes. Sometimes, most of the time, it's for the better. Sometimes we change things and maybe it didn't work well, but the whole point of change is to attempt an improvement. Poor communication and interpersonal skills. Bosses that I have seen fail in my life, that is it right there. They can't communicate well with customers. Maybe they don't communicate well with their employees, and if you can't do those two things, you're going to really struggle as a manager. There's a line of a hierarchy. So if I relate this to my job, the guys I've got working in the shop, or the guys working in fabrication, doing the line jobs, and then your functional head, supervisor, which is what I am. Everybody has a boss, so I report to a service manager. In our area, we have a regional manager that reports to a general manager, and then on up the line. You've probably all heard those terms before. Many people who are promoted to manager have little idea what the job actually entails and receive little training. And that was very true for me at my old job at Surrey Community and in this job, because most of the time, if you're going to be up for a management role, it's because the person that was in that role has decided to leave. They've retired, they've moved on, so you don't have somebody to train you. You kind of have to go in, and I don't think any company intentionally throws someone in that position without training them, but you've got to have the mentality of, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'll figure it out as I go, and you'll make mistakes and all that, but you can't get frustrated. You've got to understand that every job you have, as you move up, someone else left it, so there is always a lot to learn. Becoming a manager is transformational. Moving from being a doer to a coordinator. I know when I turned wrenches, I had no idea what our work dispatcher did and what the service manager did, and I thought, I'm out here sweating and they're sitting in an office in front of a computer. I mean, they've got it made. Trust me when I tell you, it's a very stressful job. Many new managers expect freedom to make changes, but are hemmed in by interdependencies. Stressful managers build teams and networks. Many make the transformation in a trial by fire. Adventures in multitasking. My goodness, I could talk about that for 2 days. You're trying to do one thing on your computer and 3 people come in, they're needing a truck to work on or something to do, and the boss is calling you, and a customer's dropping a truck off, and that's just my job. But I'm telling you, any job you get in supervising or management, you're going to be doing some heavy multitasking. You just have to understand it and accept it and say, okay, whatever I wanted to get done right now, it's just going to have to wait a few minutes. I've got to handle my guys, and I've got to handle this customer, and it's just part of it. Here we see manager roles: informational, interpersonal, and decisional. Small businesses, nonprofits need management talent. Nothing too much to ponder on there. Let's get into management perspectives over time. The earliest focus of management, the classical perspective, was well over a century ago, and that was on production. By the 1920s and 30s, the needs of and positive treatment of employees were discovered as another path to efficiency and profit. So why do we care about our employee? Profit, you're right. But maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's not true. But as we've evolved, that was, there was a reason. Make more money. If our people are happy, we're going to make more money. Since then, there's been a struggle to balance the things of production versus the humanity of production. Classical perspective. 3 subfields. There's scientific management, bureaucratic organizations, and administrative principles. And I'm going to hit on the highlights of these really quickly. Scientific is to improve efficiency and labor productivity through scientific methods. Frederick Winslow Taylor proposed that workers could be retooled like machines. So management decisions would be based on precise procedures based on studies. And there are 3, the general approach and contributions and criticisms. The bureaucratic organizations. Most of the concepts of bureaucratic organization was proposed by Max Weber. Weber envisioned that organizations would be managed on an impersonal, rational basis. Organization depends on rules and records. Managers use power instead of personality to delegate. The term bureaucracy has taken on a negative meaning in today's organizations, but the value of bureaucratic principles is still evident in many organizations. And the administrative principles focused on an entire organization. Henry Fayol, a mining engineer, was a major contributor. 14 general principles of management, many still used today, including the unity of command, division of work, unity of direction, and the scalar chain. Fayol identified 5 functions of management: planning, organizing, commanding, coordinating, and controlling. And the management science, also referred to as quantitative perspective, the use of mathematics, statistics, and other quantitative techniques to aid management decision making and problem solving. That was enhanced by the evolution of computer. My job, we use a lot of Excel. The report I run every day is in Excel that shows me who's working on what, how many hours they've been working on it. So I use personally quantitative perspective a lot. I want those numbers and I want the data. There's a lot of elaboration through this PowerPoint on behavioral sciences, their approach, human relations movement, that approach. Here's the top 10 tools for the contingency management view. We'll go to the last slide here. The historical struggle. Is social business the answer? Social business refers to using social media technologies for interacting with and facilitating communication. Social media programs include company online community pages, wikis, social media sites, video channels, microblogging platforms, and company online forums. And I will admit, I'm a 44-year-old person, so I do not do much social media, but I understand the power it has, and as a company, we focus on it. If I could pick one thing, me personally, a goal, it would be to be a little more involved in those types of things. Okay, that is 14 minutes and 39 seconds, so that's about as fast as I can do one of these. If you've got any questions, please post them in Moodle or send me an email. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Thanks.